All right, shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Before we get started with this lesson, we want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And peace and salutation to the elect that's out here labored in all truth and sincerity. To you, we say shalom.
Shalom.
That's the brothers from Great Millstone, Charlotte, coming back with another Lord willing, edifying lesson to feed the elect of the nation of Israel. And pretty much in this lesson, as you see the title, the beef infrastructure or the New World Order is being set up in all aspects. And what we mean by that is that we're literally witnessing this devil, put the finishing touches on his New World Order plan, because as we know, the end goal, all right, for this devil's kingdom is to have everybody chipped, all right, with that mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip. So knowing that he's been gradually making moves throughout, this time, because we know he is running on he's running behind schedule pretty much, man. Okay, so what we just saw happen the other day in London, all right, the prime minister addressed the public, and now they have introduced digital IDs and made it mandatory that all adults have to get this, otherwise they won't be able to pretty much maneuver in society. And this is what we've been warning about, because this isn't just a London thing. It's going to be worldwide, because as we made mention at camp, different countries are implementing this system at different points of time, man. All right. So America is going to follow suit at some point. So understanding that, hey, the things that the prophets have been talking about, we are witnessing them come to pass. And if you brothers have anything y'all can add into.
Khan. Like the brother Priest Amawan has said, what we're seeing is the very things that the former prophets, have foretold, right?
Mm-hmm.
Daniel, right? You read about Daniel, the 12th chapter, a time as never before, right? Knowledge being increased in these last days. We're seeing that the very system that was prophesied to take place is being unveiled, right? The apostle John, excuse me, Salakia.
You good?
John the Revelator on the Isle of Patmos, right? Receiving the revelation of all these future prophecies to take place is happening right now. And it can't be refuted.
Right.
A lot of people have tried to negate the prophecies, but at this time, the will of Yahweh Shemel Shai is being accomplished. Could I grab this right quick, bro?
Second Ezra 15.
I was going to get Isaiah 42.
Oh yeah,
Just
go
to
ahead.
just,
Go ahead.
just to prove the point that the prophecies have been always on point, and it has been delineated by way of the prophets, right? And despite people having a narrative toward the apostles, the elders, the bishops, and the men on down, we've been endowed with the Holy Spirit to preach this gospel, and we're seeing it come to pass. Isaiah chapter 42 and 9, behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. So again, our apostles, our elders, our bishops, our leaders have been preaching of this time to take place before it has happened. And we're seeing it be made manifest on a global scale. It is
Right.
going to get worse.
Mm-hmm. Let's play this real quick, and then we'll get that Habakkuk.
Okay.
And that is why today I am announcing this government will make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that. Because decent, pragmatic, fair-minded people, they want us to tackle the issues that they see around them. And of course, the truth is, we won't solve our problems if we don't also take on the root causes, looking upstream to tackle poverty, conflict.
And hey, all these things that this devil is listing off as the reason for the digital ID, like you see under on the right side right here, it says Prime Minister on digital identification. Prime Minister announces plans for free digital IDs. aims to help tackle illegal immigration. New IDs will be accessed on
Priest,
phones.
we can't see your screen if you're reading something.
Hold on real quick.
We
Is the
only
video
see the
still on screen?
kind of video still on the screen.
Yeah, I'm just reading the part on the right side.
Oh, okay, so I can't. I missed
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I
you
missed
good. So like these reasons that they're given to justify the means of issuing out digital IDs are nothing more than excuses that they're using to bait you into taking this digital ID. Now we know it's going to come a point to where all of us are going to have to take that, but that doesn't mean that we're going to submit to the beast, because the line is drawn when the mark of the beast is actually implemented. So the digital system, even though it is Esau beginning to strip us of our freedom, that's going to be the only way for us to be able to still operate in society. So, it's inevitable. But where the line that gets drawn at is when the issuing of that mark of the beast is actually mandated, and that's where we draw. We draw the line at, because we're not doing that because the scriptures forbid that. All right. So this is what we've been warning you about, starting from the apostles, elders, and elder bishops on down, because now we're seeing that this thing is fully in motion now, man. Esau knows. Matter of fact, real quick, get James 2:19, because he knows that he's running on borrowed time, man. Okay.
This is James chapter 2 and verse 19. It reads, "Thou believest that there is one power, thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble."
The devils also believe and tremble, because they know that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is about to take them out of power. All right. They know that Yahushua is on his way back. This is why the constant, mention of the chariots. All right. How they've made mention about it's a giant chariot headed towards earth as we speak. They know that they're on borrowed time. I follow that up with that Job that 14, I believe, where it talks about he has an appointed time.
14:5.
Yep.
I got you. So Job 14 and I'm 15. It's like it. Job 14:5. Seeing that his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass.
Yeah, he has bounds that he cannot pass, because in his mind, he thinks that he's going to actually be able to pull this off successfully to where he's going to actually chip all the world. But we understand that it's going to be a resistance, all the way into the end, which is why we read about that in Job 20. But before we even get to that part, that we are seeing, this is the beginning. Okay. Hey, London, the UK. All right, that's one of the major beast, part of the beast infrastructure, because we know that's where the finances are handled. So America is not that far behind, man. All right, as you saw the threat. Look, you're not going to be able to have a job. This other video I'm about to show you. All right, you're not going to be able to shop without an ID. So it's just showing you that what Revelation, the 13th chapter, is speaking about is coming to fruition. But this is just the start of it, man. This is the actual, mandation of the chip. But we're close. All right, this is the beginning. Okay, so let's grab that. Slack it. That's a lot of shit on my screen.
From September 12th, a controversial new rule will hit supermarkets across the UK, and it's already sparking outrage. The government has confirmed that anyone without valid photo identification will be refused entry to stores like Tesco, Asda, and Sainsbury's, even if they only need basic essentials such as bread, milk, or baby food. Officials defend the move as a crackdown on shoplifting and fraud, claiming it will protect businesses from rising crime. But critics warn the policy will punish millions of ordinary people who rely on quick and easy access to groceries. Pensioners without passports, low-income families who cannot afford costly forms of ID, teenagers shopping for their households, or even parents who simply leave their wallet at home could all be turned away at the door. For many, this feels less like crime prevention and more like control, a step towards a society where your ability to eat depends not on money in your pocket, but on paperwork in your hand. Campaign Campaigners are calling it an attack on basic freedoms, branding the rule no ID, no food, a slogan that already carries a chilling warning for.
Hey, and what does this sound like? This sounds like the whole thing during the demic with the jab and the mask mandates. You know, if you don't have the mask or the jab verification to show that you got poked up, you weren't allowed access into certain places, man. Well, this is that being brought back again, but now it's the digital ID is that, and soon it's gonna go from the digital ID to the actual chip, man. You know, so Esau was setting this thing up nice and beautifully, like the scripture said they would, man. You know, so brothers have something.
I had a quick precept for you, priest. You can break this down, but you know, like what you're expounding on is Esau's utilization of fear. He's fear mongering the people, right? To have their freedoms stripped away if they don't submit. Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 25, it says, "The fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoso brakatah." I'll reread it again. Proverbs 29 and 25, it says, "The fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoso putteth his trust in Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, shall be safe."
Yeah, because fear is a motivating factor to get people to do things. All right, and that's one of Esau's weapons when it comes down to controlling the masses. And what Esau has done is pretty much, propagate these different things that we're seeing in the news to take place to make it to where you think that you have no choice but to comply. But this is why, as the second part of that scripture was read, we're to trust in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua because we understand that the Lord is the creator of all these different things, man. All right. He's the one that created food. So you don't think he can get us food? He created water. He created, a shelter for us. So he's in control ultimately, man. You know, this devil is making himself to seem like he's the most high, but we understand that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, the one's actually in the power seat maneuvering everything, man. Esau is just a tool being used by the Lord, man. And because the majority of people, especially Jake, don't know that this is the actual fact, this is why they're gonna fall a victim to that tactic and be taken. All right, which is going to lead to them taking that chip, man. Okay. Hey, brother, anything else?
I got that Habakkuk for you.
Real quick, grab Psalm 94 and 20, then we'll grab that.
This is the book of Psalm, chapter 94 and verse 20. "Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by law?"
Right. Because these devils are claiming to do this in the means of helping the people, but we see that that's nothing more than a lie and a snare, because what they really want to do is entrap you in this digital prison to make it to where you're totally subjected unto them and you have no say so, and you won't have the ability to fight back. Because once you declare that this man is your God, now you have fully submitted yourself unto the devil. All right, and you're going to be destroyed, man. Okay, because this is all around the decision of who are you going to worship. Are you going to worship the living power, or are you going to worship this devil who claims to be a god, man, but is nothing more than a man? All right, so hey, the line ultimately is being drawn in the sand to show who you really fear more. You fear the Lord more, or you fear Esau and what he can do to you, man. All right, which we know the precept to that. Hey, man, you're supposed to fear the Lord more because the Lord is the one that has the power to destroy you. All this devil can do is just take your spirit out your body, but the Lord is the one that can deliver you out of this devil's hands as well as destroy you if he wanted to, man. Okay? Yep. So, as it says, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by law? Because as the point being, he is using his legislation, all right, as a means to stronghold the people into doing what he wants them to do. And we see that the people, as we read earlier, they fear that they have no other option but to submit. But what we're telling our people is don't submit, because Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is the one that's going to take care of us, man. Okay? So everything that we've been saying this devil is going to do, we're literally watching him begin to bring it out. Okay, the scriptures do not lie when it comes down to what this man's plan is, man. All right, y'all got it.
Okay. It's Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 1. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved.
Right, because with us being the watchmen over the house of Israel, all right, it is our job to look out into the world and see what is going on, and then run it through the lens of the scriptures and bring it to the people so that they understand the sign of the time that we're in, man. All right, everything that's being done is being followed by a biblical map to show you where we are in the lens of prophecy, man. Okay, and what Yahweh Shem Shah is showing us that we're right here at the door. Okay, and the last finishing touches of this devil's kingdom is being put into play before we, Lord willing, of the elect are delivered out of this place, and we can set up the kingdom of heaven, man. All right. So, hey, with us being this close, man, it's important for you not to lose focus on what is being done, man. Everything, all right, is all being done in the essence of to bring forth prophecy. Don't ever forget that, man. All right, keep going.
And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it.
Right. It said make it plain upon tables, which is why, like the brother read earlier, everything was written in this book to give us a blueprint of what to look for to show us where we at, man. All right. So now that we have the understanding of what the prophecies are actually saying, it's our job to come out here and do these digital epistles so that the elect can be properly edified and warned of what is being done, so that you can make yourself ready for the battle, man, and ultimately for the return of Yahweh Shai.
For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie.
The vision is yet for an appointed time. Now think about when the apostles and elders first popped up on the scene. First by their teachers going. Let's take it all the way back to the high priest Abba Bivens, man. Okay, he was prophesying about the awakening of the Hebrew Israelites, man. All right, identifying who Esau Edom was, and that vision that was passed down from him to our apostles, teachers, King Marshal, High Priest Ariah, High Priest Shah, High Priest Jaquab on down. So we see apostles now, Apostle Tahar, Apostle Gabar, Apostle Rakah, Apostle Ramlab, down to the elder bishops, to us, all right, to the teachers that's all been doing the work, man. All right. We are literally witnessing everything that Yahweh Bashem Yahushua said was going to happen play out right in front of our eyes, man. This devil is literally showing us that prophecy is true. The words of this Bible is faithful and true, man. Okay, say it's time to lock in, man. We gotta make ourselves ready for that great and dreadful day, man, because that hour of temptation is coming. Okay, I had the precepts. I got it.
Real quick, so let me find it.
Tazwan whole Revelation 13, start at verse 15.
Okay, I got you.
This is Isaiah 48 and verse 6 in the NLT. It reads, you have heard my predictions and seen them fulfilled, but you refuse to admit it. Now I will tell you new things, secrets you have not heard. Right? So just going back to that point being, we've heard these words and we've seen these things come to pass, but the masses, like it says, right, they haven't heard this and they refuse to admit that this is the will of Yahweh Shema Shai taking place in the earth, man.
That's right.
Right? They're watching the MOTB get rolled out. They're watching World War III about to start. They're looking at various plagues and pestilences, right, ramping up. But they refuse to admit that that's the hand of Yahweh Shema Shai at work, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'll jump down to verse 8. It says, yes, I will tell you of things that are entirely new, things you've never heard before. For I know so well what traitors you are. You have been rebels from birth, right? So the 2/3 were pretty much ordained to not believe, man, right? To refuse this message, right? To see everything unfolding and still lean upon their masters, man. You know.
The scriptures talk about how it's about the leaning on that broken reed. All right, and it's gonna pierce them through. That the stage is being set up so that can literally happen because I was thinking about this when I was watching that video earlier. The fact that they're making the people bring their ID into the stores to be able to shop over there in the UK, that's going to be an inconvenience to a lot of people. So you can already imagine the type of the tactic he's going to use because we know Esau, his playbook, all right, he uses the same thing. So the talking point of convenience is going to be used against the people. And so the convenience of, well, I know a lot of y'all are tired of, having your ID on you all the time. You run the risk of being robbed or losing it. So if you don't have it, you can't shop. So the best thing we can do for you is to make it to where you don't have to worry about carrying it because it's going to be inside of you. And a lot of these people, just off of that alone, they're going to be willing to take it, man. So with that being said, let's go to that Revelation 13 because that's where the buildup is leading to. All right, all your information being inside of you.
Come. This is Revelation chapter 13, verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
Right, as we know, the image of the beast being that ancient Roman infrastructure that has been revived and now has been modernized and made into this new technological system that we're seeing being built up. Okay, and it said that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Now, understanding, as we just heard, the British Prime Minister say, you won't be able to work without a digital ID. They say you're not going to be able to shop in certain stores without the digital ID. So those are examples of being killed for not worshiping the image of the beast because, as we see, they're going to eventually do to where without that chip, you're not going to be able to function in society. So real quick, going into that word should be killed is G615. And I want to go into the root word, which is G574. But it says of separation of a part from the whole. It says of any kind of separation of one thing from another by the which the union or fellowship of the two is destroyed. So what they have done now to where without that ID, you're not recognized as being able to do what it is that they won't allow you to do without that thing. So the digital ID being the start of that, it's a preview of what's to come because as we're going to continue back in verse 16, it's going to show what this is all leading to. This is the breaking point of what his plan is.
Mm-hmm.
So you read on, bro.
Revelations 13 and 16. And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads.
Now we go into that word causeth. It means to mandate. All right, they're gonna mandate, just as we saw that digital ID, to where everybody, all right, that wants to so-called live in this world, you got to do what they say. Okay, so on paper, on the quote unquote paper, these laws, they're going to make it to where without that chip, you're going to be X'd out from society. All right. So as it read, he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. That word mark, as we constantly go into it, and we'll continue to constantly go into, all right, goes back to charagma, which is a stamp or imprint into the flesh. Okay. You go into the root word of that is charax, all right, which is the needle that they're going to put the chip inside of to put inside you. All right. And then the root word for that is grapho, which is the information written on that chip that's going to identify, all right, who you are in that digital prison, man. So your all your local information, your driver's license, your health information, your jab status, Anything that makes you according to Esau's system is going to be implemented in that chip, which is going to be inside you to be able to allow you to maneuver in his beast system, man. This is where this is all leading up to, man. All right, and this is all you stupid ass camps out there that want to mock and scoff at the notion of what this breakdown actually means. It shows you that you don't have a vision, man. You're not able to understand the spirit of the Lord of what's going on, man. All right.
If I may land back on that point, priest, as well, when you look up the word causeth and cause, both in verse 16 and verse 15, they both show the same Strong's concordance of G4160. So as we see what's happening with the digital ID over there in UK, when you look at the Prime Minister at the very bottom of the video, it says that tied to the immigration crisis. And this has been a long-standing issue, but again, he allowed for these issues to ensue.
Yep.
But now he has the means to push legislation to fix the very problems and disorder that he allowed to permeate through society. The very issues that he permitted for so long. Now he's like, okay, it's time to go ahead and resolve that digital ID. But like the priest Amawana said, it is all going to snowball over into, you know what? We need more access to biometrics. We have to go under the skin.
Yep.
We need to be able to identify all of the people that are within our system that are able to do whatever they need to do with the freedoms that we grant. And buying and selling is a major aspect. Yep. Imagine if you take buying and selling out of your day-to-day life.
Right.
And you can't go to the grocery store. You can't go get gas. You can't do everything that you do in this system is transactional.
Yep.
So with that being, so I go ahead.
I'm saying paying your bills.
Paying your bills, like everything that you do is transactional. So if you take that out of the life of people, they're not gonna know what to do. They're gonna be like, damn, what do I do? But see, that's why we read Proverbs 29, right? That the fear of Yahweh Shem Shai, that's what's gonna keep us rooted, right? Yeah. Trusting in the Lord is gonna keep us safe. It's gonna keep us in a sound mind to not fall to the temptation.
Yep. Keep going in that.
Revelations 13 and 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
Right, because this is the key point to give us the clue of what the MOTB is, man. A lot of camps will, purposely avoid reading this verse when they want to scoff against the breakdown of what the chip is, man, or what the RFID is, what the MOTB is, which is the RFID chip. But that's the major selling point to show us what the breakdown is, because just as we see, being implemented with that digital ID, that's going to be the future, or with that chip. Okay, without access through that RFID chip, you're not going to be able to buy or sell, man. All right, because all your information is going to be linked to that chip, man. Okay, and like I said, that dude Chief Ephraim made that stupid comment talking about that can't be the breakdown because all nations are in line with what Esau's agenda is. But when you see this being rolled out, like we see, Britain is not the only one that's doing this. All right, Sweden has been doing this for years. They already had this system set up over there even before the pandemic, man. You see that over in Australia. All right, I believe Barbados and a few African countries, I believe, has implemented this as well. So these different countries are all in line because, according to Psalms 83, all nations are in one accord as far as what Esau's agenda is, man, because he has influence over all nations. All right, he's the top nation right now, so he controls all the other nations, man. So they're all gonna comply. Otherwise, he's gonna pretty much set up his economic hitman, or he's gonna stay some BS over there to make it to where somebody's gonna be put in the power that's gonna play ball, man. So there's no getting around this, man, because prophecy has to take place, man.
Yep.
Can I read this for you real quick, priest? This is an article from a few years ago going into the digital public infrastructure being established. Right now, it talks about how it's the 50 and 5 campaign started by Bill Gates, right, and his witch of a wife. This is the pretty much jumping down. It's a digital public infrastructure, which refers to a secure and interoperable network of components that include digital payments, ID, and data exchange systems is essential for participation in markets and society in the digital era. Now, the 50 and 5 pretty much is telling you the initial countries, the first 50 countries, they're calling them the first movers, right? So it's those who are both advanced and emerging digital leaders and are beacons of progress, so called, and inspiration for others to learn from in the building of their own digital foundation. So, as you said, all these nations are in one accord, right? They're just rolling it out in the places that have the most influence right now, man. The places that can push the market forward, right? Because these developing countries don't really have a use for it yet, right? Until the bigger marketplaces, have this thing established. So these first 50, like you were talking about, they're saying their three main objectives. It says, where'd it go? Because it's going into the digital ID, it's going into healthcare, it's going into uh, data exchange, right? So they're taking in all this data and putting that device inside of you is going to be that ultimate form of data collection, man, right? And that's going to what's the word? Merge your body with the beast, man.
Yep. So there's no getting around this because I wanted to bring this example. Like, we're going to read it, just read the title. But as I said, those that will not worship the beast should be killed, right? Well, you see what happened in Vietnam. All right, as it reads, just the People's Voice.tv, Vietnam erases 86 million bank accounts of non-compliant citizens who refuse digital ID. So what just happened, man? They pretty much destroyed all those people's lives that didn't want to get down with the mandate. Okay. So as the brother Tazwan was saying, now they don't have the ability to buy and sell because they don't have a digital ID, therefore they don't have a bank account anymore, man. All right. So what you think is gonna happen to them, man? A lot of them, all right, they're gonna eventually, bend the knee because they want to get back into society. They want to be able to go back to living a normal life. So to avoid that persecution that's gonna come along with that, all right, that's what's gonna cause that, that bending of the knee, man. This shit is getting real. All right, this is why as we see in the spirit, man, things are tightening up because we're almost out of here, man. All right, so we can finish up Revelation 13.
Okay. Revelation chapter 13 and verse 18. It reads, "Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666."
Yeah, 603 scoring six, man. I believe it's tri-sty sigma or stigma.
Yep.
Tri-sty
Tri-side
stigma. So that goes into the pretty much the name of the beast because as you know, I want to pull this article up real quick dealing with that tri-sty sigma. Hold on real quick. Brother, speak real quick while I'm trying to find this.
Right. And then what we're seeing right now is that wisdom is being delineated through the prophets. All right. We're making it very plain who this man of sin is, who the son of perdition is, right? Because all of the activities of this particular system, John the Revelator saw this is the end times. This is what that system would do in these last days. Right. And it's associated with a particular group of people, with a particular group of influencers that have leverage over the laws that are administered. So it's irrefutable at this time that Jake or anyone can try to say that what we're bringing out through the Holy Spirit is incorrect, regardless of if they hear or forbear. Prophecy is being made plain.
Mm-hmm. And that's why John the Revelator has said, man, here is wisdom. All right. So that if you have the spirit of the Lord with you, you'll be able to get the clues that was left, all right, to let you know what the MOTB is, man. All right. So here we have this article from it's called ridingthebeast.com dealing with the charagma. It says if we look at the Greek, we see that 666 is presented with three letters: chi, xi, stigma. The numeric values of these three letters add up to 666. So chi, you see the X is 600, xi is 60, and stigma is 6. Now, what's spiritual about this, all right, is you see these letterings, sprinkled all throughout Esau Edom's infrastructure to let you know that they know what they're doing, man. They know that they're bringing in this chip, man, or this mark of the beast. All right, they know they're fulfilling Bible prophecy. So, like for example, what did Elon Musk, when he bought Twitter, what did he change? He changed to X, man. And then also you have his Tesla logo, all right, as you know, it's familiar with the Xi, okay. And then you have stigma, which looks like a serpent, you know. So this is just showing clues to let us know, who the man of sin is, man. Okay. It should be noted that stigma is based on the ancient Greek digamma and must not be confused with the modern Greek sigma. It carried the meaning of a mark, dot, puncture, or generally a sign from the verb. I don't know how you say that, to puncture, as well as a excuse me, as well as a mark from a pointed instrument, often as a sign of ownership, brand, or tattoo. Because now, as we're seeing the beginning of Esau is slowly beginning to put his mark on the people. All right. So that digital ID is just the first form of him, claiming his ownership of you, man. All right. Because if you're seeing social media, you're starting to see a lot of guys speaking out, or people in general speaking out against this digital ID because they see that this is the beginning of their freedoms being stripped from you. All right. It says strong concordance gives stigma the following definition: to stick, a mark, incised or punched for recognition of ownership, mark. The definitions of stigma and charagma are remarkably similar. They both support the idea of a pointed instrument used to inject a microchip. Stigma has also made it to the English language, where it's defined as a mark of infamy or disgrace. There's an obvious carryover from the use in Revelation. So, hey, man, we're here. We're at the beginning of all this, man. All right. So this devil is making his move. So, hey, it's our job to report on these things so that you understand what is being done. All right. Because not only is that being set up, we're seeing him in other areas put the finishing touches on that as well. All right. Both have anything?
Con. Quantum anything?
I'm gonna grab it real quick.
Con.
Go ahead and get yours if you have some.
Con. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the cloud. I will be like the Most High. So with this rollout of this technology, bending the people to submit to his image, making the people submit to his mark, this is allowing Esau to pretty much further that God complex that he already carries innately, right? Being in direct opposition of all that the Most High calls good. This chip enables him to really further that mindset onto the people.
Yep.
Okay. This is Jeremiah 11 and verse 6 in the NLT. Then the Lord said, broadcast this message in the streets of Jerusalem. Go from town to town throughout the land. And that's what we're doing through these video epistles, man, right? Going from screen to screen, right? Every page that you have open, right, there's a brother speaking on prophecy.
Yep.
It says, from town to town throughout the land and say, remember the ancient covenant and do everything it requires. So the prophets are set out here to give you the warning, chiefly on this mark of the beast at the moment, man, right? To show you what it is and not to take it. That's what the Lord is requiring right now, is for you to understand that at all costs you have to deny this thing, man, because that's this devil, staking claim right on the people, man. Right? He's trying to claim you as his own and take you away from Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai.
Mhm. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Hey, who are you going to serve? You going to serve the Lord, or you going to serve this devil? Okay, because what the Lord is about to show you, there's only one God, man, and Esau is trying to make himself a God. All right, but as the scriptures say, man, thou art no God but a man. All right, and we see that, and we gotta keep that in mind as the squeeze begins to get tighter, because as what we're seeing, man, him beginning to take all the world's resources to himself, because he wants to make it to where all things that we need, we got to go through him for. Matter of fact, could you grab that in I believe that's in Sirach 39, the principal things of life.
Oh yeah, I got you right here. I was holding that. This is Sirach 39:26. The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing.
Mm-hmm. And what's the curse to say? That we got to go to him for the one of all things. All right. But the Lord gave these things in abundance in the earth, but somehow this devil has took control of all these things. Like that video, it's comical, but it's true. Of what's my nigga from That's a Raven, the bug out,
Orlando.
Orlando.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like they're making us pay for grapes. But that shit is true. Like what he was saying was true, because all the fruit, the water, all these things, the natural resources, man, they're in the earth. You could get these things for free, but this man wants to pretty much monetize on everything, man. Because it's all about making a dollar, and so if he can make these people, have to pretty much go to him for the one of everything where he can make a profit off of it, he's done it. All right. He's polluted the natural ways that we can get it, and he possesses this artificial version of whatever it is, because he understands he can't patent nature. So what he has done is destroyed nature to the point to where we can't use it no more, man. Like you see what has happened. I don't know if you brothers, when you was young, remember this, but certain, certain trees that bear fruit, you could actually go out into the outside. I remember they used to have little tiny strawberry trees, man. All right, you still have, certain places that you can pick fruit from, but that was in abundance back when we were little, man. You don't see fruit trees no more. Like shit. I remember honeysuckles, man. I don't even see those no more, man. Lightning bugs, different things, but you barely see bees. Esau is destroying everything to make it to where he is in control of it, man. All right, because the plant life coincides with the animal life, the ecosystem, and with him throwing everything out of whack, hey, we suffer for that, man. All right, the lack of trees in neighborhoods that Jake predominantly, lives in is a byproduct of why niggas are crazy. All right, trees actually, are beneficial to people's mental health, man. Like, and I have this video right here, to show that. Hey, people love, as far as it's mainly Edomites that I know that love yard work. It's like not this one. I mean, you can start with this one, yeah, because this goes into what we're saying as far as Esau taking up everything. So we'll play this in the other one then.
Number one, Bill Gates has teamed up with Nestle and BlackRock. While everyone was distracted with Diddy and Epstein, they made this deal together where they are buying up all the farmland they can that have aquifers that they can tap into the water and sell it to you. What's insane about this is that the Nestle CEO has said that water is not a basic human right. So there you go. Number two, he has gotten this product called Appeal approved on organic produce. Appeal is not water soluble. That means that it's not dissolvable. You can't wash it off, okay? You are made up of 70% water. So if it doesn't dissolve in water, if it's not soluble in water, what do you think is going to happen when it's inside of you?
All right. So let's touch on that. Let's get Micah chapter 2, read 1 and 2.
Can I add to that real quick, Priest?
Go ahead.
Like she was making mention of, right, Bill Gates and his company Appeal. that's why it's important to just look into the products that you're buying, man. Right? Because if you go through these different grocery stores and the produce, just look at the companies, right, that these fruits and vegetables are coming from, and if you look into them, a lot of them have origins back to Bill Gates' companies, man. Right? So it's just to be mindful of what you're buying, man.
Yeah, because it was said that he's putting the juice in a lot of these fruits and vegetables too. But it's important to understand what is being done. This nigga's buying up farmland is not no light thing because it's a nefarious meaning behind it. We'll go ahead and get that, Michael.
Micah chapter 2 and verse 1, it says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand.
Right. So as we're seeing, man, hey, Esau is strong arming, all right, these farmers to sell their land so that he can have possession of it, man. Because when you look at the map of how the USA set up, I believe it's split between, I think China owns a good portion of the farmland, and then Bill Gates owns whatever else is left. So there's no American bred, lands really left. And if it is, it's very few of where the people actually own their land. And as it says, man, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it's in the power of their hand. They have the ability to do this because they own, all the power to be able to enforce this, man. All right. Monsanto, for an example, is how they're able to strong arm these farmers, because all they got to do is blow some seeds, some Monsanto seeds onto these lands, and then by law they're able to go into that land and look, you have our product on your land, now you owe us money. All right, now we own because our seeds got mixed in with yours. Now we own your seeds, we own your plants. So they're able to strong arm these farmers out of their land. All right, and if you refuse to pretty much go what they say, because they also said that if they, I think, either grow too much or the animals they have to keep it under a certain limit. And if they have drones flying around to where they are always monitoring to make sure that they're compliant. If they're not compliant, they get fined, and those fines are expensive on top of the already declining sales they're making from their products. So these farmers are losing out, which is why they're being forced to sell their lands, which Bill Gates is quickly taking over. And the reason that's being done, because as the woman was speaking about, the aquifers, man. All right, because it's not only a land grab, it's a water grab as well. All right, let's finish that out in verse 2, and I'm gonna talk about that. And the whole Lamentations, where it talks about how our wood is sold unto us.
Verse 2, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage.
Right. So Esau Edom is stealing these lands from the people. All right, because he has the ability to do this. Now he's able to oppress and everybody, because as his kingdom is being set up, he's taking everything to himself. He's hoarding all things to himself, man. All right. So now, as it says, he's oppressing a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. And these lands that these farmers, they possess, these were things that they were passed down through that family generation, and they were able to pretty much, make money off of what Esau, didn't have access to. So the fact that he doesn't have his hands in that profit, this is why he's doing that, because he wants all things to funnel through him. All right. We get and the point I was making about the aquifer is because when you go into what an aquifer is, I'll put this on the screen. All right, because the whole thing with water, as you heard her say, these devils have now said that water should not be a human right. So, as you know, it's illegal to collect rainwater. All right, and you got a lot of these water companies that own a good chunk of the water too. So, what an aquifer ultimately is, as you read here, it says an aquifer is an underground geological formation, such as layers of porous rock, sand, or gravel that holds and transmit groundwater, serving as a natural reservoir for water supply. So, meaning that is pockets of water underground, which serve as like reserve water sources for the earth. These devils are buying up this farmland because they wanted to seize hold of that those underground water sources, so that they own all aspects of water. Because you're hearing talks of a water shortage. Certain countries, states like LA, I know they have limits on how much water they can use per day. Well, these are all examples of how they're going to restrict the people, in the New World Order. All right, just like they're talking about having a carbon limit, a water limit. You're gonna be limited on all resources off of their discretion, man. Okay, so the fact that this devil is taking control of everything, it shows us how this man is literally putting all the touches on his new world order to make it to where that slogan that they said about "you will own nothing and be happy" is coming to pass, man.
Yep. If I could bring this stat real quick, this is off the AI overview. In regards to groundwater, it says 30% of all fresh water on Earth is groundwater, while the other 69% is locked away in frozen ice caps, and only 1% is in lakes, rivers, and streams. Right. So them taking that groundwater, right, taking over those lands, is them, pretty much taking over the entire available water supply, man.
Exactly. Right? Hey, add to that, get that Lamentations.
Yeah, it's Lamentations 5 and verse 4. We have drunken our water for money. Mm-hmm. Our wood is sold unto us.
Yeah, we have drunken our water for money. And it's crazy because the earth, was it like 70% water? Something around there. So it's more than enough water that's made available, for all the people that have free access to water. But yet we pay for water, man. All right. And the water that we're given, all right, is tainted water. Okay, it's fluorinated. All right, it's full of BPAs, forever chemicals. They took all the minerals out of the water. So now you drinking the water, man, it's doing nothing but just flushing out your body's minerals to where you're thirsty like 10 seconds after you drink, man. Right. So it's all about profit, because what these devils want to do is make a profit off of everything, man. All right, go ahead.
That was on that, but I got some in the commentary for that verse.
Mm-hmm.
It says in the David Guzik biblical commentary, it says, we pay for the water we drink. It says, I suppose the meaning of this is that everything was so taxed by the Chaldeans, and we know the modern day Chaldeans, being these left-hand priesthood, right, and these wicked elites, right? It says, and that they kept the management in their own hands, so that the wood and water were both sold. The people not being permitted to help themselves, they were now so lowly reduced by servitude that they were obliged to pay dearly for those things which formerly were common and of no price.
Wow.
And that's what we're seeing take place today, man. Right? Everything that was in abundance and available freely, has, like you said, it's been poisoned and repackaged, right, as safe. They take the water, they put all these different chemicals in it, then they go in and so-called purify it, and then bottle it up in these plastic bottles, and then sell it to the people, man. So we don't even have a chance to try to get our own water, right?
Because everything's a profit. Now, I want to read this over. This is from a site called numbers1317.org. This website has a lot of good information on it, but dealing with this part, it says the creation of value. It says 1, capitalist profit-oriented mind. It says to the capitalist profit-oriented mind, there is no outrage so great as the existence of some unmediated nook or cranny of creation which has not been converted into a new form that can then be sold for money. And that just adds to what Quan Walk just said, because Esau Edom loses sleep if there's something out there that he can't make money off of, man. This is why his hands are in every fucking thing in this world, man. Everything has been tainted because this man has his hands on it, man. All right. This is why this devil is constantly building up, all right, different things, right? Whatever city that your brothers are in, it is always construction being done, because he's always trying to find a new way to make money on something, man. There's no free land. Okay, a land is owned. And then when there is a empty land, all right, it's always owned by Edomite, but that the trees are always being cut down to put some bullshit up so they can make some type of business out of to sell shit to, man. All right. So it says this is because in the act of converting the natural into artificial, something with no inherent economic value becomes productive in the capitalist sense. An uninhabited desert is non-productive unless it can be mined for uranium or irrigated for farms or covered with tracts of homes. A forest of uncut trees is non-productive. A piece of land which has not been built upon is non-productive. Coal or oil that remains in the ground is non-productive. Animals living wildly are non-productive. And you see, this shows you this man is a devil, man. All right, because when you look at everything has a purpose. He says it's non-productive, but it does have a purpose. All right, it is productive to life. All right, but it's not productive because he's not making money off of it, man. All right. It says virtually any land, any space, any material, any time that remains in an original, unprocessed, unconverted form is an outrage to the sensibilities of the capitalist mind. The capitalist mind is talking about the Edomites, mainly the Amalekites. All right. It's different books that go into that capitalist mindset goes back to the small hats, man. All right. It says iron, tungsten, trees, oil, sulfur, jaguars, and open space are searched out and transformed because transformation creates economic benefits for the transformers. All right. Hey, brothers, got any precept? Y'all jump in.
God.
I had something real quick.
You got it.
This is 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 10. It says, "For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows." Now, focusing on this beginning part of how the love of money is the root of all evil, when you look up this in the Strong's Greek, the Greek concordance, it's Strong's G 5365 for the love of money. It says love of money, avarice, which avarice, when you look it up, it says extreme greed for wealth or material gain, right? And this is what Esau is doing. His pursuit for wealth, his pursuit for material gain has caused so much evil to be sown into the earth, right? The money makers, the people that run the international banking, the people that have access to resources to be able to delineate that to the masses of people, choosing rather than giving them water, giving them, the things that's necessary for life, as we have read in the book of Sirach 39. They're choosing to oppress the people, use that as leverage so that they can further their power and influence, further their status, further their wealth.
Hey, man, this shows you that this man's the devil. Hey, the brother GMS Tazadakda, the Banya Howard on 144K. This is a great scripture. Proverbs 30 and 14. There is a generation whose teeth are as swords and their jaws teeth as knives to devour the poor from off the earth and the needy from among men. And that's what this devil is doing, man. He's destroying the poor, all right, which really is the Israelites, all right, by using, the very things that the Lord gave us from the earth to help nourish us to destroy us, man. All right. It says, the horse leech has two daughters crying, give, give. There are three things that are never satisfied. Yea, four things say not, it is enough. It says the grave, the barren womb, the earth that is not filled with water, and the fire that saith not, it is enough. Man, that's heavy. Because in this devil's mind, man, there is no stopping. All right. Because as we just read, man, he wants to make a profit off of everything, man. Okay. As we just read, whatever he can't, get his hands on, he looks at it as not productive. Okay. So it's a problem if he can't make money off of it, man. All right. And that goes in all avenues of this life, man. All right. You see Jake in their different forms of there are different outlets, whether it be music, art, the sports, like for example, you had Jake doing the ABA, the Negro League, and they were flourishing. And Esau say, "Nah, I ain't got my hands in that." So what he do? He allowed niggas to get into the NBA, to the MLB, and we see guys like Jackie Robinson and uh and Dr. J as like the pioneers of bridging the gap to allow the so-called Negroes to coexist with Esau in that world. But that shit was actually detrimental because we was doing better before we got mixed in with Esau, man. But this is just an example of all that. All right, now I wanted to play this video because this is a perfect example of what we just read in that article. All right, because something that you may not think of as really heavy, that's what he's about to go into with lines, just show you of how he was able to use his lies to trick people into giving up their rights, man.
You were never supposed to have a lawn in front of your house. You know that? Well, here's what it made you. Think about it. Before lawns, most front yards grew food, fruit trees, vegetables, herbs. But in the late 1800s, elites in Europe, wealthy elites in Europe, I'll say, made grass lawns a status symbol. It meant you had so much money, you didn't need your land to feed you. Now that's a flex, okay? So America copied this trend. Cities encouraged it. Developers, they built it into our neighborhood designs. And eventually, HOAs, local lawns started banning front yards altogether. So now lawns look clean, but they replaced something essential, right? Our daily connection to food. They made us more dependent on grocery stores, supply chains, and the very systems that profit from our hunger. Now, a nice patch of grass, it looks nice, right? It looks nice. But a patch of food keeps you alive. One builds status, the other builds freedom. And if lawns had never been pushed on us, our neighborhoods would be filled with edible gardens, fruit, nuts, seeds, native wildflowers, small community orchards. Every block would feed its people. What hunger and what hunger? Every yard would be a little ecosystem, nourishing, abundant, and free. But instead we have this. So if you're ready to live, to build a new conscious world, follow 4 steps to reclaim the food and the freedom we lost.
And that's just showing you that, look, the Most High set nature up to be, a self-sustaining system for the people to be able to live off of, man. All right. And when you go into our laws, man, that showed you that what he said was true, because we have laws such as, I think it was with the gleaming, how we're supposed to
gleaning grapes. And all that.
Yeah. Matter of fact, get that Bible Kashah, if you know where it's at. So that everything, the Lord made everything perfect. And while you get there, I just want to read this. This is this is from a quote from this Gadite. His name was Two Eagles. It said, "Where the white man went wrong." It said, Indian Chief Two Eagles was asked by a white U.S. government official, "You have observed the white man for 90 years. You've seen his wars and his technological advances. You've seen his progress and the damage he's done." The chief nodded in agreement. The official continued, "Considering all these events, in your opinion, where did the white man go wrong?" The chief stared at the government official, then replied, "When white men find land, Indians running it, no taxes, no debt, plenty buffalo, plenty beaver, clean water. Women did all the work. Medicine man free. Indian man spend all day hunting and fishing, all night having sex." Then the chief leaned back and smiled. "Only white man dumb enough to think he can improve system like that." And that's essentially, you can use that, but then expand it to what we have been saying from the beginning. That shows you that Esau is a dumbass ruler, because the Lord made the earth perfect for us to live in, and he went and tried to quote unquote fix it, but really he did this to put everybody in prison, man, and which all leads back to that digital prison. All right, y'all got it.
This is Leviticus 23 and 22. "And when you reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not make clean riddance of the corners of thy field when thou reapest, neither shalt thou gather any gleaning of the harvest, Thou shalt leave them unto the poor and to the stranger. I am the Lord your power.
You speak on it, bro.
So that you're not supposed to gather every last drop of the harvest, man. You're supposed to leave it for the least fortunate, man. You take what you can use, and whatever falls to the wayside, you leave it for somebody else to come and pick up, right? You leave, like it's talking about the corners of the field, right? That leaves access to the various wheats and grains to people who might not have the land, to farm, man. Right, so that gives a possibility for someone else to take care of their family, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that if that was in place today, you wouldn't have the people out here begging for food, right? You wouldn't have people out here struggling in the way they are with the food pantries and things of that nature, man, because it would already be established that they had access to whatever was left, right, from the people who had the abundance.
Right. So it's that mismanagement of what we're speaking about to show you that this man is not fit to rule. I wanted to read a little bit more on this just to harp on that point of the mindset of how this man is stupid. All right, and how he's ensnaring everybody. So it says value added. It says in economics, this transformation has a name, value added. Value added derives from all the processes that alter a raw material from something that has no intrinsic economic value to something which does. Each change in form, say from iron ore to the ground to iron or steel to car, which is heavily advertised, adds value to the material. The only raw materials which have intrinsic economic value before processing are gold and silver. So just using that for an example, that's what it says. So why in the hell would you transition, all right, from using gold and silver as money to what we have now as the FDR, man, Federal Reserve or Federal Reserve notes, which are not backed by gold and silver. So he went backwards, but like we said, this was a system that was created to fail. All right. Just putting that nugget out there. It says, this is only because people have agreed on these values in order to define a value for paper money, which certainly has no intrinsic value, which that's the spirit. I didn't know I was going to say that. It says, it is then the nature of profit seeking to convert as much as possible of what has not been processed and exists in its own right into something which has the potential for economic gain. Now, when you are looking at what these devils are doing, like we made mention of what Bill Gates, all right, is doing, okay, they're literally seizing control of everything because, as I made the point, nature is unpatentable, man, because things that are freely grown out the earth, Esau cannot make money from. So what he is doing, all right, is trying to push those things out so he can give you an artificial version which he can profit from, man. Like, for example, one of the reasons that you hear in Gates of Hell continually talking about, cows are emitting too much carbon because they're farting and stuff too much. He said that either we fix the cows or we get a way to bring forth beef without cows, man. All right. And the reason why he's doing that because Bill Gates is heavily invested in that artificial meat, okay, clone meat. All right, that impossible meat, beyond beef and all that shit. He's a heavy investor in that, man, because these devils are trying to push that out the way. All right, because if they can't make money off of it, as I said, it's not profitable unto them, man. So nature is not profitable unto Esau. This is why he brought in pharmakia. All right, the herbs and all the different things that we can use to heal ourselves from the earth. The Lord gave it to us. Well, he can't make money off of it, so this is why he gave us pharmaceuticals, man. All right, this is everything that's artificial he has made. He did that so he can make money and make you weaker and sicker so that you have to keep coming back unto him. You see how this is just a big ass snare, man. All right. So this last part dealing with scarcity. It says a second element in the creation of commercial value is scarcity, the separation of people from whatever they might need or want. In artificial environments where humans are separated from the sources of their survival, everything obtains a condition of relative scarcity and therefore value. There's an old story of the native living on the Pacific island, relaxing in a house on the beach, picking fruit from the tree and spearing fish in the water. A businessman arrives on the island, buys all the land, cuts down the trees, and builds factory. Then he hires the native to work in it for money, so that someday the natives can afford canned fruit and fish from the mainland, a nice little cinder block house near the beach from with a view of the water and weekends off to enjoy it. So this is the snare. This is how he the freedom that we have been given by the Lord to enjoy the planet, because that's what the whole point of what the earth is for. Real quick, get Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and I believe it's 14. And then another brother hold John 10 and 10. That's like it's Ecclesiastes 5 and 9.
I got Ecclesiastes 5. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 9. Moreover, the profit of the earth is for all. The king himself is served by the field.
Right. So as this little parable that they use, all right, hey, just dealing with this, it said the Pacific man lived on the beach. He lived on a house on the beach, picking fruit from the tree and spearing fish in the water. So hey, he was able to survive on his own. But that businessman you can equate to Esau. All right, he got to that land, he bought the land from to pretty much enslave that man, that Pacific man on that land, and now he has to work for him to receive a artificial life of what he was already doing for free. You show how this man's the damn devil, man. Okay, so everything the Lord had given us, we read earlier, the principal things of life should be free for all mankind, but this devil has made it to where he profited off of it, man. And the natural way that we can get it has now been poisoned and it's made to kill us, man. So the only way we're even alive right now is through the grace and mercy of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. All right.
Hey, that's why he's pushing forward this AI infrastructure so hard, because he knows that he would destroy all his subjects the way they're moving right now, man. So they have to have something in place, right, for the inevitability of there being no human life left, man.
Man. Hey, this precept right here is good. Sirach 19 and 23. There is a wickedness and the same an abomination, and there is a fool wanting in wisdom. And that's Esau, man. Esau is lacking in wisdom because, like you just made mention of, if he truly was a good and righteous, king, he will understand of how to govern the world to make it to where everybody can live in harmony and peace. But he's unable to do that because he's the wicked. All right. And this devil is clearly moving against nature. All right. Which is why we call him Satan, man. He's the physical embodiment of Satan, because not only is Esau adverse to righteousness, he's adverse to life, man. All right. The brother also had this too. This is Revelation chapter 6, verse 7. It says, when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard a voice from the fourth beast say, come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him, and power was given unto him over the fourth part of the earth to kill. And that's what he's doing, all right? Through his Monsanto, through his forever chemicals, through his, all the different methods that we're seeing, his appeal, all these GMOs, the spraying of the chemtrails, man. We can go for days, months, years of just bringing everything out that this man is doing to kill the people, man. This is why we need Yahweh Hashem Yahushua to return and deliver us from the hands of this fucking devil, man. All right, because he's, like you say, he's literally trying to kill all life on earth, man.
God. This is John 10 and verse 10. The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy.
Mm-hmm.
I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly.
Right. So this is why we find it extremely foolish for any of you people that look at Esau in any form of reverence, man, because that's exactly what his job to do on this earth is to steal, kill, and destroy, man. All right. He's literally taking life out the earth, but that's what Yahweh is being sent back to do, is to bring us life. All right, and that life has began with us, being blessed with this wisdom, so we understand how to govern ourselves and eventually govern the earth, man. So all these different things, what we're going into, is just showing you how this man is unfit to rule, man. All right, so I got this last little bit. and then we begin to wind it down. So it says, the moment people move off land that has directly supported them, the necessities of life are removed from individual control. The things people could formerly produce for their survival must now be paid for. You may be living on the exact spot where a fruit tree once fed people. Now the fruit comes from 500 miles away and costs 35 cents a piece. It is in the separation that the opportunity for profit resides. When the business necessities are not scarce in those places where food is still wild and abundant, for example, economic value can only be applied to new items. Candy bars, bottled or chemical milk, canned tuna, electrical appliance, and Coca-Cola have all been intensely marketed in countries new to the market system. Because these products haven't existed in those places before, they are automatically relatively scarce and potentially viable. Now, a good example of that, we saw that with that video of them damn Hamites giving that Sprite, of how they instantly gravitated towards it, and it was like crack to them, man. All right, so Esau can go over there and literally hike up the price for that, because right now that's a scarce resource that those people don't naturally have, and because it's so new to them and it's so good to them, they're going to be willing to do whatever it is to get that, which will require them ultimately to start giving up their natural forms of resources to begin to do that. Because what's going to happen if they want more? Esau is going to require land, so now they got to give up land so they can build the factories to produce that shit, then produce stores to be able to put the stuff in. And you see how it's a trickle down effect would eventually lead to you losing the right to produce your own stuff, man. Yep. So it's a big ass trap.
Right.
It's like, go ahead.
And I was just going to add the same thing you see happening in Amazon right now, right? You see, it's I don't know if it's a documentary or something of that nature, but Nestle went down there and gave those people all this candy and cookies and things of that nature and got them addicted to all that sugar. So now both they're craving this, they're developing diabetes at faster rates, right, than ever before. And now they're addicted to these processed foods to the point where now, like you said, they're selling off the land, they're selling off the animals or whatever it is in order to gain more access to these things that Esau has deemed valuable.
God, hey, Tyler, you brought this out a while ago about the transition of how these devils get to power. I forget it's like steps that you brought out, and I think scarcity was like one of them. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's let me pull it up right quick. I'll pull up the video. Let's see here.
Good, like we said, man, it's Esau goes by the same playbook. All right, so as we're seeing, all these countries are in compliance with that. I meant to bring this out earlier. I forgot why you get that. I'll just read it. I won't put it on the screen. But the article I was referencing that you brought at the camp is payments card and mobile.com. It says BIS survey 94% of central banks exploring CBDC. All right, so 94% of central banks, which are in majority of countries in the world, all are compliant with this CBDC, this digital currency. All right, which is going to in turn evolve into them requiring a digital ID, and then from so on, all leads to the mark of the beast. And if you want to continue to get resources, you're going to need to take this. Okay, this is why it's the phasing out of fruit trees, a phasing out of all resources you can get on your own, to where only way you're going to be able to have access to it is through him. That's where all this is going towards, man.
And Esau did that diligent search to where now you have generations that don't even know food comes from plants and animals, man.
Come on, man.
They only think you can have access to these things through grocery stores, right? So it wouldn't even be they wouldn't take a second thought if that was pushed upon them, man.
Yeah, they don't know. You can plant your own seeds and have a garden of different fruits and vegetables, which is illegal in certain parts of really all United States. But of course, they don't enforce it like that. So you're really not allowed to have your own garden. But of course, it can be done. But if Esau really wanted to, which he will in the future, they can crack down on that to where you won't be able to do that on your own, man.
Yep.
You got it out. You found it.
Con, I got the video right here. I'm gonna pull this up. I don't know if y'all heard that.
Not anything.
Okay.
Why has the Dutch government, a guy called Rutte, the prime minister, completely owned by the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab, why has he just announced that the Netherlands, the second biggest exporter of food in the world, is targeting farmers to destroy them and get them off the land, which is where all these farming protests in the Netherlands have come from? At a time of food shortages and supply chain problems, you are targeting the second biggest exporter of food in the bloody world to destroy its farming base. Why are you doing that? If people depend on you for what's left of the food, you control them. Where food is abundant and cheap, you do not control them. Where energy is cheap and abundant, you do not control them. Scarcity equals dependency equals control. And that's why they're targeting the food chain, they're targeting the energy supply, they're targeting everything.
Now, the last part of this I want to speak about, which is why I put the thumbnail for this video. All this being done by the elites, these devils are putting it to where these average everyday Edomites are blaming all this on Jake. All right. Now, one of y'all brought it out at camp about how I believe it was one of y'all. I might have brought it. I can't remember, but pretty much, as long as these devils push the whole notion of them being better than Jake, then they'll just give away their rights. In so many words. If y'all know where that's from. But that's what's being done. So this is why the whole talking point of the problem is being put on Jake, because they, as you heard the talking point with the immigrants are taking all the jobs. All right, the so-called black man's taking all the money because they're on welfare, food stamps, and that money is being taken from so-called white people. It's all being thrown on Jake because these devils, these elite devils, are trying to stir up that tension within the average Edomite against Jake, so they can bring forth that race war. But in all, these devils don't even realize that they're getting their rights taken from them as we speak.
Yep. I got that quote. You have brought this out, Priest. This is from Lyndon B. Johnson. If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him somebody to look down on and he'll empty his pockets for you.
And that's why Trump was the best candidate they could use for this situation, because the whole thing of what Trump did in both terms, at the beginning of his first term and leading into his second term, was that we're gonna make America great, all right, by putting niggas back in check. That's what MAGA was really about, man. All right, putting the Edomite man back on top. All right, not even realizing that in the midst of that talking point, him and his elite cronies were all ripping you away from every way to sustain yourself, man. So this technocracy that's being put in place, all right, is the finishing touches of your freedom being taken from you, man. All right, so the snare is set, and all you people are going to fall right into it, man. All right. So, you brothers have any closing precepts or statements?
Wow.
Okay. Hey, so with that, we're gonna put this thing to an end. So, hey, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. So, with that, we want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And peace and salutation to the elect. Until next time, we say Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.